you can see I have my rake back, so it's tilted just slightly. What's up everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name's Mike, and today we're going to work on something a little bit different. So I've done quite a bit to the Gladiator, and with all the weight that I put on the back, it looks like I'm going to have to put in some kind of spacer. As you can see, the back is starting to sag a little bit, and and that's due to the fact that I've got the iKamper on it now. I've got some accessories on the side, propane tank, and this deck system. And this deck system is adding quite a bit of weight because of the tools that I have in the deck system. I've got camping gear in here and some more tools, and I've got that 37-inch tire on the back too. And so it's created a lot more weight, and the springs that I have are just not doing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install this Daystar leveling kit, which adds a 3/4 inch to the rear. I actually have one on the front, which is only a 1/2 inch, but now I'm about to install a 3/4 inch in the rear, and hopefully that helps. Another reason I'm doing that is because I do tow a couple different trailers with this. I actually have 3 different trailers that I tow. An Airstream trailer, which is about 4,000 pounds. I have a Luma trailer for my side-by-side and ATVs that I tow. And then I have an off-road trailer. So 3 different trailers that I tow with this. So it's going to give me just a little bit more height and actually act as a leveling kit for the trailer itself too. So the biggest one is the Airstream. I don't really tow that too often, but I do tow with it. The other one is the ATV trailer. I do tow that one quite a bit with the side-by-side in the back. Typically a side-by-side and an ATV. And I do notice when I, just the other day actually, I took the side-by-side out, I do notice a little bit more sag. So I'm going to go ahead and install that 3/4 inch spacer, if you will. And they call it a rear lift kit, but I'm going to install that kit and see how it goes and how it performs. The other thing I've noticed is my headlights are pointing up. Granted, I can adjust them, but with the rear lift kit, that should hopefully level them back down and not blind anybody at night. But anyway, let's get started.
Now what I'm doing here is I'm actually going to loosen the lug nuts before I jack up the truck. At that point I can remove the entire wheel and tire. I also didn't realize how sexy my legs really were until I saw the playback of this video.
I actually use the jack for the Gladiator to push the axle down, using the bump stop, and it makes the coil spring come out a lot easier. Now on this side I did remove the track bar just so it'll drop a little further, and it actually helped quite a bit. So now it's just a matter of putting the new spacer in, and this is what the spacer looks like. And what it does, it just sits on the factory coil spring holder like so, and then you're ready to put the spring on. Now I will share something else with you guys. I did end up renting this from O'Reilly's. And what this is, it's a coil spring compressor. So you stick that in the coils. It grabs one side of the coil here. I'm only gonna use it for demonstration purposes here, but now basically it sits in the coil like this. The other bottom, the bottom part sits on the bottom coil, and then you just take, I believe it's a 19mm nut, and use it to drive it up, and it compresses the spring for you, and it makes it a lot easier to reinstall the coil. Now it is free to rent that tool. I think you pay $50 up front, and when you return it, they give you the whole $50 back. So I think it's worth the time, and definitely saves you a lot of effort. So that's what I'm going to do now. So when you go to put this back in, you'll see there's a little rubber, not sure what to call that, but it goes into that little divot up there. You can see that hole right there. Now it's really hard to position that while you're setting the coil in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape this up there, make sure it sits in that hole, and then put the coil spring back in. Just a little tip. There you go. Now it's in there and it's flush. It sits flush. Now if you don't set it in that hole, the cushioning there will not sit flush, and so you'll have some movement within the coil springs. Now I also put a piece of tape on where the end of the coil spring should sit, and you can actually feel the indent right here. So the end of the coil should sit here, and then it wraps around going all the way down. So you got to make sure you set it in there, and it'll avoid problems later on. Now there you go. It went in pretty easy. Still got a little room to play with, to move around and line up where the coil should sit. And then I'll take the rear wrench and take that off, and it'll apply the pressure, and we're good to go. Alright guys, so that's the finished product. So 3/4 inch spacer here. Everything's sitting correctly. And now we just put everything back together. Get the shock mounted, track bar mounted, and the sway bar link connected, and then connect the brake lines back up, and we're all good. Alright guys, so this is the final product. You can see I have my rake back. So it's tilted just slightly, which is what I want, because when I pull this trailer or my side-by-side trailer, which I'll be doing today, I'm gonna go hit the dunes, but I won't have that sag in the back anymore. As you can see, it looks really good now, and should help with the sag. So I'm gonna go test drive it, make sure everything is working the way it should, no noises, no squeaks, and that's it. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for joining me again. It's a short video, but wanted to show what I was doing to the Gladiator. Anyway, we'll talk to you soon, and we'll see you out on the trail. Peace out, and remember, take life by the horns.